If you've ever wondered what is the performance and forgiveness difference between an out-and-out blade, a hollow body player's distance iron, and a super game improvement iron at a slow swing speed, then today's video is perfect for you. Because that is exactly what I'm going to be doing today to the depths that no one else is doing on YouTube. And I mean look into the millimeter of strike on these three heads, comparing them to see what drop off do we get relative to a good one. Really trying to quantify forgiveness between these three heads at that slower swing speed. I mean, I'm talking in there all over the face, out the heel, out the toe, and quantifying each strike. We also do a good data set as well, just to see how they really do compare in terms of ball speed, launch, spin, peak height, angle of descent, all that jazz. You know how we do it. Super, super in depth. And I think you might be surprised. So before we jump in, if we can get to 25,000 subs before Christmas, we're going to do a lovely giveaway for you guys. Now that should be easy looking at our analytics, because over 70% of you that watch this channel regularly don't subscribe. 70%. That's just shocking behavior. Shocking behavior. So if you do watch our channel regularly and you like the content that I provide you guys, please do me a favor, go down, hit that subscribe button. Genuinely, it really, really helps small channels, and it will help us grow, and it will help us give you guys more content. Thank you. Swing speed, we're going to be swinging around 70 mile an hour today. So definitely at the sort of lower end of the swing speed spectrum. We're going to be starting off in the Game Improvement iron, which today is the JPX 925 Hot Metal. So one of the new Game Improvement irons from Mizuno, and it is very Game Improvement-y. It's big, it's chunky, and it's very strong in loft. This 7 iron played 28 degrees, so not far off like a traditional sort of 5 iron loft, really. So we're going to start off with reasonable to good data sets to begin with. I'll delete any horrendous shots just to get a good overall idea of how these heads actually perform. And then later on, we'll dive into the miss hits, giving you comparative data, comparative strikes to really be able to tell what the difference in drop-off is going to be between these three heads. And then later on, we'll really dive into the data and look at all the launch and spin and peak height and angle of descent and carry and all that jazz as we do super in depth. So let's jump in. Actually felt really good to start off with. Yeah, I mean, absolutely going to take that straight out the gate. Yeah, tiny bit out the toe, but actually not terrible launch and spin. 19 launch, 5,100 backspin for this kind of iron, 137 efficiency, 73 swing speed there. So I will be kind of keeping an eye on that and making sure all of the data sets will be fair. But yeah, it's a good start. So all the heads will just be playing sort of standard loft, standard live for that head, which again for this is 28 and 62. Standard length shaft, which we'll be keeping the same in all of the heads, which is a recoil ESX 460 F3, so 64 gram regular shaft. That felt pretty good. That felt nice. Yeah, again, good strike, a little bit more out the middle. 3 yards offline, 18 launch, 4.7 backspins. Again, pretty low on the backspin front there. 62 feet in the air, 38 descent. Not a good descent angle. Feels quite nice though, in all honesty. I mean, I'm using a true feel ball, which is a very soft ball. I mean, I do remember hitting these with like a firm ball, and it did feel a bit firm and a bit clicky, but to be honest, with a soft ball, it feels quite nice. That one felt really good. It's probably the best strike so far. It seems to be carrying around that sort of 140 number. Yeah, that was the cleanest strike I'd say so far. Yeah, and I'm dotting it quite nicely in the center. Yeah, 4,000 spin, obviously we would expect it. I mean, realistically, I mean, 4,000 spin, let's say, you know, outside it generally spins a little bit more than it does in here. So let's say it's 4,500 outside. This ain't far off a 5 iron loft. So if a 5 iron was spinning at 4,500, probably be all right with that. But for a clean strike, 59 feet in the air and 37 descent angle, that's just no good. That felt nice. Get in the hole. Go on. Oh, almost. Again, another nice one. Yeah, I mean, it seems fairly consistent. Feels pretty good. Similar pattern, just low spin. Yeah, it was a bit higher at the face, that one, so we can see the spin comes down a little bit. Perfectly normal, what we'd expect from every kind of club, no matter what it is. Yeah, fairly consistent, feels pretty good. Most of them hitting green. You know, it's a pretty good start. So jumping into the player's distance irons, sticking with the Mizuno irons. So now we've got the Mizuno Pro 245. So really, really solid player's distance iron. Hollow body construction is right up there with, you know, your TaylorMade P790, your Titleist T200, your Cobra Forge Tech, your Ping i530. Really, really good player's distance iron. And if you haven't actually seen my video where I put all of those irons that I just mentioned head to head to kind of crown the king of the player's distance irons, I'll link that in the description below. Really, really good head to head test. But yeah, so moving into this, 30 degrees of loft, so 2 degrees weaker than the hot metal, half degree different in lie angle, 61.5 versus 62. That'd be making a very, very, very minor difference. Exactly the same shaft. So let's see what this has got. Oh, that felt really nice. Well, that launched high compared to that. I mean, that's a great shot from 38 carry. That did feel a lot nicer, I'll be honest. 20.7 launch, that launches up a lot higher straight away. Backspin comes up to 53. Again, the strike there, really, really good. 10 mil low, so that's really solid. Peak height comes up to 73.4. Descent angle of 43. So straight away, a much better ball flight with barely any distance loss at all. I did swing that fractionally faster, to be fair, at 73. I'm doing my best, but I'm not a robot, unfortunately. But again, all of the average data sets at the end will be super comparable. I'll always make sure it's a fair test. Again, felt really good. Really nice. Yeah. Felt nice. It was a bit better. 71 mile an hour swing speed on that one. So it was a little bit better. A little bit more comparable. And again, still, we didn't really see, I mean, that was, strike's pretty much perfect. Yeah, I just closed the face a fraction more on that one. It looked like it came out a little bit lower. Launch drops to 19 because I closed the face that little bit more, bringing down the dynamic loft. So the peak height goes down to 62, descent down to 38.5, but still not seeing a dramatic difference in distance. One thing I will say, this looks so much better down by the ball. That hot metal is so chunky. I mean, this is actually a really lovely looking sort of iron, compact iron. You honestly, for the loft that it is and for the head design that it is, it looks so good down by the ball. I mean, it will be really interesting to dive into detail and see what drop off we're going to get between all three of these models, especially at this swing speed. It's going to be very, very intriguing because I don't know if there'll be much in it, especially between this and the hot metal. So really, where a lot of people are kind of going towards that forgiveness and they steer away for something like this because of how it looks, when you can quantify the actual difference in terms of drop off, I think a lot of people might be surprised. Well, that's got a chance as well. Oh! What did I just say? Again, that was a class. Probably one of the best shots with the 245 so far. Again, 137 carry. Right, moving into the blade and sticking with the Mizuno theme. For this, we've got the Mizuno Pro 241, the out and out blade, and it is absolutely gorgeous. It's probably about as nice a looking blade as you can possibly get. It's just so clean, the shaping, a little bit edgy with the lines and the camber on the top line, just super, super sexy. The green has been moved back from 140 to 130, or I should say the pin has been moved from 140 back to 130 because this is a big jump in loft, going from 28 in the hot metal to 30 in the 245 into 34 degree 7 iron in this. So obviously a very traditional lofted 7 iron. And the first thing that I want to pick up on is that top line. I mean, it's gorgeous. If you love a small, slim, traditional looking top line, out and out blade style, that is absolutely gorgeous. So moving from the hot metal to the 245 is a noticeable jump. Moving from the 245 into this, again, a noticeable jump. But one of the biggest things that actually stands out is the fact that it just looks like it's got more loft. Like it looks a club weaker than a 245 because it is a club weaker. So if I grab the others and I'll give you this visual of the top line down by the ball. I'll tell you what, heel to toe, it actually doesn't jump out that there's loads of difference, but it's just the top lines. Like the hot metal top line is absolutely massive. The 245, again, I mean, it's not hugely dissimilar, in all honesty, to the 241. It is bigger, but I wouldn't say, holy crap, it's massive. Like it still looks, I mean, if I just put those two down, heel to toe, like the face, size, heel to toe of the 241 and the 245 there's absolutely no difference. Like just there's absolutely no difference whatsoever in terms of heel to toe between those two. It's just the top line is a bit bigger, like not even loads bigger. And if I put the hot metal down by the 241, again, like the actual face size, heel to toe, there's no difference whatsoever. Like there's absolutely no difference in that heel. I mean, maybe you may be talking a couple mil, possibly at most. I mean, the toe does go a little bit further out in this in terms of the actual overall size of the head, not just the face hitting area is definitely bigger, but it's just the top line is so much chunkier in that hot metal. It's just, it does look like a bit of a beast compared to the 241. Right, so let's get some with the blade. That was nice. Go on. Straight and dunk. Go on. Oh, I will get one today. Okay, it's a great shot. Like straight out of the middle. Yeah, perfect strike. Okay, about 72.7. So basically the same swing speed as I started off with in the 245 last time. 73 mile an hour. Again, the launch comes up. Spin comes way up to 57. Launch comes up to 22. Peak height, interestingly, pretty similar to the 245 actually, in terms of the initial shots that I was hitting with the 245 was low 70s peak height. That was 71 feet. Descent angle gets a bit better again at 43.4, but again, a really nice ball flight, nice and straight. Distance 128, I expected it to probably be around 130. So yeah, that's pretty much what I expected. That was toey. Go on. Come on. Come on. I'm going to get one. But again, that's done really well because that was at the toe. Yeah, it didn't feel particularly great. It was pretty toey. Against the 126 carry, I mean, virtually no drop off considering the first one I swung fractionally quicker and it carried 128. That was a bit toey and carried 126. It's really good. That felt really good. Yeah, and there's that 128 carry. And again, very similar, 70-foot peak height, 43.5%. So it's definitely, the descent angle is just infinitely better. But the reality at this speed is there's always kind of a nice middle ground to be had, to be honest, because we could see that the 245 was fairly similar in terms of peak height. Probably a little bit shallower in terms of the angle of descent because of the less spin. Kind of spin creates a bit of like that climb. And when it climbs, it'll kind of drop and stop quicker. Whereas if it's spinning less, it can kind of, you get that a little bit more of like that rainbow type flight. So yeah, there's always kind of a nice middle ground to be found. And that was a nice shot, that. Yeah. It feels really nice. I might almost say I marginally prefer the feel of the 245 in all honesty, but yeah, perfect strike, that. Absolutely perfect. Yeah, good numbers. Right, let's dive into this data on a fair and equal data set. First thing, we'll look at the club delivery data just to show you guys how I swang them. So speed, as you could see, I was normally around that 70-71 mark. So on average with the hot metal and the blade, it was identical at 71.4 and 70.8 with the 245. So fractionally slower, but again, all around that 71, again, doing the best I could to keep it fair. Same with the rest, angle of attack 4, 3.4, 3.8. So again, within half a degree. Path 3.3, 3.1, 3.8. Again, all around 3 to 4 inside. Face angle 0.9, 1.1, 1.4. Again, less than half a degree in it. So really an even strike. I mean, it's about as equal as I can make this comparison test with a swing that's nowhere near my own. But it's very, very close and very comparable. Dynamic lie, I was messing around with my hands a bit, so I'm not going to look too much at that. And the efficiency, again, well, we'll see in ball speed in a minute. Obviously, we would expect to get a lot more efficiency from the hot metal than the blade being much, much stronger in loft. But let's look at the ball data. So ball flight data, and the first thing that I'm going to touch on, as it's a very, very important part of club fitting and club performance, is the ball flight. The peak height and angle of descent. This is massive when we're doing iron fit, something that we really try hard to work on maximizing, while retaining the best distance possible, of course, but it's very, very important. So we're going to touch on that first of all. So the hot metal had a peak height of 55 feet, pretty low, and a descent angle of 36 degrees, again, very low. I mean, that'd be good if it were like a driver, but that means it's going to come in low, toasty, hot, firm greens, never stopping, even soft greens, arguably, maybe not. Depends how soft. The 245, 65 feet peak height, 40-degree descent angle. So again, still low-ish, but a nice little jump up from the hot metal. And then the 241, we had a peak height of 66 feet, 42-degree descent angle. So although the peak height was virtually the same as the 245, went from a 40-degree descent angle to a 42-degree descent angle. Again, that little bit more launch and that little bit more spin, as we'll see in a minute, creating that little bit more climb and that slightly steeper descent angle, giving you more stopping power, which is great. So better ball flight, better descent angle from the Blade. If we touch on ball speed, hot metal 99, 96.5 with the 245 down to 93 with the 241. Realistically, for the loft that these clubs are playing, it's basically what I would expect. You know, roughly 1 mile an hour per degree of loft. So there's a 6-degree difference between the hot metal and the Pro 241. So again, that's basically exactly what we see. 6 mile an hour, 2-degree difference between the 245 and the hot metal. And again, we see what, 2.5, 3 mile an hour. So basically doing what I would expect them to be doing for the loft of the heads, regardless of the head design being, you know, hollow body or going to give you more ball speed within the face. All these things are fractional, to be fair. The main thing is loft. Launch 17 degrees in the hot metal, very low, going up to 20 degrees in the 245, bit better, and then 21.5 in the 241. Again, a lot more loft equals more launch and more spin, really, even though, again, you would argue head design with the 925 hot metal being chunkier sole, CG lower and further back to try and increase launch. Again, how much that's doing, maybe a little bit, but it's just such a strong lofted head. It's going to launch low, it's going to spin low, regardless of what they do with the head design. So spin 4,300. So 17 launch, 4,300 at swing speed of 70 is just useless. Like, don't want it, don't need it. It's just no good. Spin comes up fractionally in the 245 to 4,750, again, still low, and then a nice little jump up to 5,300 in the Blade. Not really going to dive too much in standard deviations because, you know, the data set wasn't huge, although it was decent, maybe 15, 20 shots with each. It's not my normal swing, and, you know, I think it's more down to me in the club personally. That's my personal opinion. But yeah, launch and spin, obviously great with the Blade, much better ball flight, better angle of descent, but we do lose a bit of carry, as we'd expect. As I said earlier, the peak height of the 245 and the 241, very similar. The chances are there'd be a nice little middle ground somewhere for this sort of swing speed. Maybe the 243 would be good. Maybe a 31, 32 degree 7-iron, one that spins reasonably well. So we can still maximize that peak height, still maximize that descent, but make sure we're maximizing carry as well. And those are all of the boxes that we really try hard to tick in an in-depth fitting. It's exactly what we do here. So on the carry, 125 with the Blade, up to 133 with the 245, and then up to 137 with the hot metal. Again, if we break that down in terms of the loft of the heads, they're doing fairly similar to what I would expect. Maybe even not quite getting as much out of the 245 or the hot metal as I would expect. So the Blade, a 34 degree 7-iron. The 245, a 30 degree 7-iron. That's a club difference. That's 10 to 12 yards you would probably expect to see. We see 8 yards. And again, the hot metal, a 28 degree 7-iron. So that to the Blade, 6 degree difference. Again, it's a club and a half. Well, it's a club and a half, which again, you'd expect really 15 yards, 14, 15 yards. And we see 12. So again, you maybe would expect to get a little bit more out of the 245 and out of the hot metal in relation to the Blade, purely based on loft. Again, I'm not really going to look at run out, although, you know, there's not really much in it, is there? I mean, it's saying that we got a little bit more run out with the hot metal, which again, we would absolutely expect. I don't know if all of these landed on the green or not. It's the only thing with the simulation software. If they land on the green, they'll stop slightly quicker. If they land just off the green, they'll just bounce and run on. So it's hard to say in all honesty, which is why I really can tell a lot from the peak height and angle of descent in terms of from that. But we do see, you know, more rollout from the hot metal, which is exactly what we would expect in real life. So yeah, I mean, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Again, dispersion, I'm not really going to touch on much because it's down to me and it's not the club. Let's be real. But if you were going to argue that, the Blade is really tight front to back and left to right. The 245 is the worst, and then the hot metal, a little bit more left bias, which again, you probably expect. Not bad front to back. Okay, left to right. But again, I think that's far more down to me. So yeah, all of the data, launch, spin, peak height, angle of descent, distance. How does that stack up in your mind versus what you thought you were going to see? Let me know below. Right, let's test some forgiveness then. Sticking with the Blade, we're going to go with some really, really bad toe strikes. Now, the best carry we had with the Blade was 128. So, let's see what the drop-off's like. You missed that. You couldn't get any worse without it being literally off the face. Have a little look at this strike. Have a little butchers at that bad boy. That is absolutely horrific. And 70-mile-an-hour swing speed, so about what we were seeing earlier, and that carried 102. So a 26-yard drop off. But again, that was horrendous. I'll get a couple more that were actually on the face. That was on the face at least. Just. It was extremely toey still, but yeah, just about on the grooves. 21 mil in the toe, see 107. So about a 20-yard drop off, which in all honesty, for that strike, an out and out blade, I mean, that ain't bad. Again, shocking. And pretty much the same, basically the same strike, basically the same carry. Yep, dotting right out in that toe section again. Swing speed at 70, 108 carry. So yeah, way terrible, like almost missing it toe strike. We're losing about 20 yards. What about the heel? I hate the heel. Always feels like I'm just going to flat shank it, and I probably will. Hey! Well, that's how you heel it. Okay, so a shank's 23 mil heel. So let's see if we can get about 18. I reckon that was kind of a semi-shank, but well, I guess done really well because that was way out in the heel. Is that 18 mil? 16 mil, I'll take it. That's pretty good. I mean, that's way out in the heel. 116 carry from 71 club speed. I mean, it's only a 12-yard drop off from almost a semi-shank. Again, that was like low heel. Might go in. Go on. How's that done that? That is impressive. Yeah, I mean, okay, it was a 10 mil heel, still low heel, still felt not great. 128 carry, the same swing speed. I don't know, but it's a great result. Yeah, again, heel. I just need to try and hit out of the heel, basically. That's the moral of the story. There's been a couple at 10 mil heel that seem to carry like not far off the same as max distance, but when we went in about 16, 17 mil into the heel, we saw about a 12-yard drop off, which is still really impressive. That was, yeah. That was proper. Again, same 116 carry, 12-yard drop off. I mean, that was low heel. Yeah, that was low heel, 13 mil heel, 40 mil low, not good. So that's twice we've seen that now. So kind of 20-yard drop off with a really bad toe strike and about 12-yard drop off with a really bad heel strike. I mean, if I hit it any worse than those two, it would have been a shank. So it's about as bad as I can hit it without getting the old hosel. Back into the 245 to test all over the face. Now again, hollow body construction, player's distance iron, theoretically a lot more forgiving than a blade. But what does that actually mean? Like, what does that actually equate to? What are we going to see in terms of drop off when I hit it well out the heel and well out the toe with this versus the blade? Yep, that was toed. That was mega toed. Now remember with the toe, we were seeing a 20-yard drop off really, and that was just on the face. Very similar to that, just on the grooves. With that, we saw a 20-yard drop off with the blade. Now with the 245, the best shot that we had, I think carried 138. That carried 117. So that's 21 yards. Okay, that was off the face, in all fairness. That was not good. Yeah, but I did have a couple like that with the blade as well, to be fair. And again, you know, that's what, a 26-yard drop off. And that was 30 mil toe. Earlier, I hit one with the blade that was 29 mil toe, so exactly the same, and that carried 102. So again, that equated to a 26-yard drop off versus the best shot we hit with the blade. With this, again, 112 carry versus 138. It's a 26-yard drop off. Exactly the same strike, exactly the same drop off. Same thing. Yeah, I mean, it's 20-yard drop off, or 21 yard, I think that was. So yeah, I don't think we need to hit too many more toe strikes. I think I've pretty much proved my point. The drop off is basically the same. But for the sake of the video, we'll hit some out the heel too. That was not good. And again, it's done remarkably well because that was very low heel. Yeah, that was really not good at all. Not good at all. So just as a quick comparison, that's not the shot I just hit. I think that was the last shot I hit with the blade. So 14 mil low, 13 mil heel, 4 into out, 1.2 closed, 116 carry. And this is the shot I just hit with the 245. So we can see fractionally more heel, like a couple of mil and a couple of mil lower, but fairly close. Same swing speed, 4.5 into out, 1.6 closed, and 119 carry. So I mean, it's hard to really say there's loads in it. It was heel, only fractionally, but again, similar to a couple that we had with the blade where I basically got no drop off. That wasn't too dissimilar. Yeah, still heel, 12 mil heel, and it's only a 4-yard drop off. That's actually really impressive. That was not good. Interesting to see that one, because that was 70 mile an hour. Again, it was at the heel. It's 16 mil heel. So he hit one earlier with the blade, very similar to that, I believe. So this shot is the one I hit earlier with the blade. 16 mil heel, 5 mil low, 71 swing speed, and it carried 116. And this is the one I just hit with the 245. So we can see 16 mil heel, 2 mil lows. Again, really comparable. Okay, I did swing fractionally slower, 1 mile an hour. You know, again, I'm not a robot. Not too much of a dissimilar delivery, and 120 carry. So you see how like it starts to get very blurred when you really can look at all of the details to the millimeter, like really like dive in super in depth, looking at the drop off. It really is hard to say. Okay, back into the hot metal. So the super duper duper mega forgiving club. Let's see. There's that good old toe. There's that good old toe. So easy to hit it out of the toe. Again, I mean, that's really not too dissimilar to ones earlier, just on the face, 121 carry. So the best we had with this earlier was 140. So again, that's 19-yard drop off. Okay, that was actually on the face, in fairness. Like, again, very similar to a couple that I had earlier with the other models. Yeah, again, it felt a little bit better, even though it shows slightly worse than the first one, but the first one was a little bit lower, but it was just on the face. Again, similar to what we had earlier. 124 carry, so 16 drop off. So maybe fractionally better. That was one we had with the 245. 23 mil toe, 10 mil low, 7E swing speed, 117 carry. And that was the one I just hit with this, the hot metal. 24 mil toe, 9 mil low, virtually identical, 70 swing speed, 124 carry. So that's not bad in fairness. Again, considering this is 2 degrees stronger in loft, I'd expect it to go roughly 4 to 5 yards further than the 245. And we see about 6 yards more. So again, I guess it's kind of what I'd expect in all fairness, relative drop off. Okay, maybe you could say it's fractionally better, but not a lot. Might go in the hole. It's a terrible strike, but go on, run out. Go on, break. Break. We'll get one today. Yeah, again, horrendous strike. 117 carry. So you can see how the lines quickly get quite blurred when it comes to forgiveness. Like, I love doing this because I love to quantify it. It's exactly what I think this channel is all about. It's exactly what my service is all about. Actual real world quantification and data to see what's best for you. Forget the market and leave that at the door, because a lot of it can be absolute BS. What does it actually do when you can quantify it? And forgiveness is a very blurred line. Hey, there we go. At least I shanked one with all of them now. Yeah, again, heel. 70 mile an hour swing speed there. Again, 124 carry. Yep, 19 mil heel, 10 mil low. What we see in there, kind of a, I say 140, didn't I? See about 16-yard drop off. And the bad ones earlier with the blade, I think I got a couple of bad ones which were around a 12-yard drop off. I think that was about 16 mil heel. That was 19 mil heel. So again, maybe fractionally worse at a 12-yard drop off. And we've got a 16-yard drop off there. Again, it just keeps blurring. And you could kind of get into sort of directionally, is the MOI going to be a bit more stable on something like this? So it will maybe like deflect, open and close slightly less to maybe help direction slightly more or slightly less. But the reality is you need a robot to test that. You know, I can control my speed, I can control my delivery, I can control my strike to a certain degree. But to test that accurately, you're going to be able to need to strike it within a couple of mil of each other with the path and face virtually the same to be able to really see the outcome. Like I can't do that. Yeah, I don't feel like anyone's good enough to be able to quantify that, if I'm brutally honest. As amateur golfers, we're too inconsistent to really say, you know, you leave that face half a degree more open, half a degree more closed, and all of a sudden there's a 10-yard deviation. Like, you just can't do it. No, it's not. That was not great either. That was definitely out of the heel. Again, 130, so that one actually did quite well. 10-yard drop off, you know. Yeah, 16 mil here. That's very similar to the one I hit earlier with the blade, actually. I might see if I can find that one. So this was the shot with the blade earlier. Strike 16 mil heel, 5 mil low. Swing speed at 71. Carry 116. So again, there's that 12-yard drop off from a good shot. And this was the one I just hit with the hot metal. So we can see 16 mil heel, 0 mil low. So it's a little bit higher on the face, which will probably add a couple of yards, if anything, because it drops the spin. 71 swing speed, exactly the same. Actually, the delivery, again, really comparable. So speed, strike, delivery, very comparable. 130 carries. Again, we see a 10-yard drop off versus a 12-yard drop off with the blade. So again, similar with the toe. Could you say it's fractionally better? Yeah, you probably could argue that it is fractionally better by a couple of yards here or there. But is it as much as people would imagine? Well, I don't know. You tell me. And one for luck, just for fun. See how far we can hit it. Actually did it that okay. Woo! 98 club speed, 205 carry. They do get out there. So there you have it, a super in-depth performance and forgiveness based test at a slow swing speed of a blade, player's distance iron, and super game improvement iron. I really hope you enjoyed that video. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below of what you saw, the good performance data, but more so the forgiveness data. Like, really, is there as much in it as you thought there would be between those three heads? I'm not even going to tell you my opinion. I think you already know what that is, but I'd love to hear yours in the comments below. I love to do these super in-depth tests. They take a long time. It's a lot of hitting, but I know you guys appreciate it and you enjoy it. So if you did, please hit the like button. Please do subscribe. Stay tuned because there's loads more coming on the channel. Thank you for watching. I genuinely appreciate it. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one.